Hey guys, Absro here from Neebs Gaming, and I've been playing Middle-earth: Shadow of War. I said war like that because that's how you're supposed to say it according to those terrible Hobbit movies.
I will have war.
I played the first game and thoroughly enjoyed it, so obviously I wanted to come back for this one. However, I'm a bit concerned because there's another shadow out there, and this shadow looks eerily similar to a slot machine. But first, let's take a look at the game itself. What's the story? Oh god, who gives a shit? Let's see. You play as this guy, Talion, who's possessed by a demon wraith elf named Caliblimlor. I'm just gonna call him Chuck. So you and Chuck basically work together to forge a new ring of power. With this ring, you're thrust into Mordor to wreak havoc on the armies of Sauron, the big bad guy from the Lord of the Rings movies. The problem with this story is mainly it's a prequel, and I find most prequels devoid of any real tension because you ultimately know what the outcome's gonna be. Let's face it, no one needs to come to this game for the plot, but it is serviceable for what amounts to cheesy, fun Lord of the Rings fan fiction. I feel the writers know this as well, as there's a good chunk of comedy sprinkled in here, and I honestly chuckled more than I thought I would. Especially with this guy.
You serve the bright Lord now.
Bright Lord, Dark Lord. Same thing, really.
There are some fun things in there, like the history of a few of the ring wraiths. Gollum shows up for a bit and walks like an idiot. And there's some fun side quests involving this funny talking tree lady.
You have woken Torgorot, cracked and creviced until now.
I didn't understand a word she said. And honestly, I found some of the conflict between Talion and Chuck interesting. I won't spoil it, but I enjoyed where their relationship went. But ultimately, the story doesn't matter. After my playthrough, the stories that stand out in my mind aren't the stories told by the progression of the plot, but by the stories made from the nemesis system, which I'll touch on shortly. How's the gameplay?
In your head.
Oh yeah, this is it, guys. This is the reason to give this game a look. I love the gameplay in Shadow of War. You feel like a badass as Talion, especially the more skills you unlock, although I will say I was a little disappointed in having to unlock some of the same moves from the first game, like the standard execution. I played the last game. I should already have this, you old tits! So that's a bit irritating, but some of the new skills are great. I'm a big fan of this new move that basically lets you do a double jump. It really adds to Talion's mobility and makes navigating the world more fun. You can also jump midair and kind of slow down time as you're firing your bow and arrow, kind of like in Zelda, so that's cool. Running around feels much faster than it did in the first game thanks to this wonderful sprint ability. You can also get around the world by taming Caragors, I don't know, these guys. Or riding on the back of these large creatures known as Growl, I don't know, some bullshit, whatever. You can stomp your way through the landscape with these guys. It's fun. Parts of the story have you doing all kinds of crazy shit, like riding on top of one of these big guys and getting into a one-on-one fist fight with a Balrog. I love it! By the end of it all, you can be riding around on the back of a dragon wielding a flaming sword, then jumping acrobatically off the dragon, dropping into a group of orcs, and then proceeding to kick the shit out of them. Feels great! And sure, the combat is pretty much a direct rip-off of the control scheme from the Batman Arkham games, but I'm fine with that. That system was awesome. Why wouldn't you want to steal from that? But the gameplay is solid, and the game serves up a great variety of things to do, so no complaints there. Sometimes the camera can act a little wonky, and sometimes Talion will jump on something you didn't intend him to jump on, or not go where you wanted him to go. Also, you'll encounter the random open world glitch, like this guy who just didn't want to get on that pole. What are you doing, you nut? But overall, moving around and the combat feels fantastic, which is good because you'll be doing a lot of it as you grow your army of orc pals, which brings us to the nemesis system. The nemesis system? Yes, the nemesis system. One of the main reasons the first game garnered so much attention is back, and it's better than ever. It basically works like this. Each area has an orc army that mostly consists of captains, a few war chiefs, and an overlord who you must defeat to gain control of the region. When you first enter a region, all the members of the army are unknown to you, but you can find out information on them by fighting certain orcs that have a green highlight and fucking them in the brain. This can give you the identity of the captains, war chiefs, and overlords, and also lets you know their strengths and weaknesses. You can then use this information to your advantage when you hunt their cute asses down. When you finally decide to face a particular captain, you can either kill him, or you can scramble his brain and make him work for you.
serve the Bright Lord!
I shall serve as your chosen.
Many times you'll just stumble upon these captains as you're wandering the world, and sometimes these guys will just ambush you as you're playing.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Now, apart from the captains are the war chiefs. These are usually higher level orcs that are a little bit tougher to beat, and you can only draw them out by completing certain tasks like killing all of their archers or blowing up all their Groxblide, whatever. But the war chiefs are usually accompanied by bodyguards, so it's a pretty tough fight. But after you've collected enough orcs, you can launch a full-on assault on that region's stronghold. Attacking the fortress with all of your orc buddies felt epic every time, and it's engaging seeing the orcs you've collected fighting alongside you. Taking the fort plays sort of like Conquest in Battlefield, where you need to hold an objective for a certain period of time before you can take it. And after all the objectives are taken, you can then fight the warlord of that region to take it over. These fights are tough and will test your skills at the game's combat. What I love most about this nemesis system is that any orc can become a permanent character in this world. For instance, let me tell you the tale of Ogbar, the cheeky little orc that struck the death blow on me during a fight.
I think you talk.
Suppose that makes me a top killer. No.
Talk Slayer!
I quite like the sound of that.
Talk Slayer!
From now on, I will be known as
The Talk Slayer!
Oh, you bitch! Now, in my lust for revenge, I hunted the self-proclaimed Tark Slayer down, but decided, no. Oh, no. I'm not killing you. I'm gonna turn you into my little orc slut. After scrambling his brain, I decided to plant Ogbar as one of the war chief's bodyguards. Later, when I drew the war chief out, he was betrayed by my good buddy Ogbar, who stabbed his ass in the back and then assisted me in the fight. Ogbar then eventually joined me for my final assault in the fortress, and after it was all said and done, I rewarded my loyal orc by making him overlord of one of the areas I'd taken over. However, later on, I was betrayed.
Fight your battles then. Lie there, mewling, and hope the other fella goes away. You disgust me.
You son of a bitch! Ogbar stabbed me in the back and decided to leave my ranks. I had gone out of this way to give him a chance, but this was the final straw. I decided to finally end the life of Ogbar the Tark Slayer. None of this was scripted, none of this was planned out by a team of writers. All of this occurred by way of the nemesis system. And Ogbar was only one of a few tales and relationships I had with different orcs. That's what makes this game and its predecessor unique. It is a game that has the potential to create its own characters and tell stories about them. I never got tired of running across a captain, making him part of my army, and just seeing if he became a major player in my quest for the control of that region. It was fun, unlike the other way to get a captain, which basically involves opening a loot crate. Wait, a loot crate? In a single-player game? What the hell, why the fuck? Yep, buckle up, boys and girls, because it's time to have a conversation about this. The shadow that not only covers Shadow of War, but the games industry as a whole. Loot crate systems. The simple, sad fact, and I hate saying this, is that loot crate systems are working really well for game companies. They are raking in massive profits from microtransactions. Am I happy about this? Fuck no. Personally, I don't like or care about any of these systems. I've never given a shit about loot crates. I don't like buying something and not knowing exactly what I'm paying for. That doesn't sound like fun to me. My daughter got into these horrifying little pieces of shit called Shopkins. When you buy these things, you buy a box, but you don't know which Shopkins comes in the box. You might actually get one Shopkin you've already gotten. What the fuck? Why would anyone pay for this? When I was a kid, I can't imagine buying a Ninja Turtle and not knowing what fucking Ninja Turtle I'm getting. Did I get Donatello this time? Oh no, I got Michelangelo again. Oh, fuck me in the ass. Here's $10 more. I don't understand it. My brain isn't wired to get joy out of that, but it's obviously that a lot of people's are. especially kids. And that's where an interesting question is being brought up. Should the ESRB, the Electronic Software Ratings Board, step in and try to warn consumers about this? Recently, the ESRB came out and said they do not technically consider loot boxes gambling because you actually get something, even though it may not be the thing you want. It operates on the same concept as trading cards or those damn Shopkins. Some people like Total Biscuit have even called for an M for mature rating, and I get it. We don't want to train young children to become loot box addicts. But on the other hand, I think of arcades. I took my kid to an arcade recently, and half of the games were put $1 in the machine and watch the ball drop to see what you win. It operated on the same concept as a loot box. Granted, the arcade didn't charge me $60 to get in the door, you fucks! But are arcade games gambling? You get tickets for prizes, so not technically because you get something. Well, what about free-to-play mobile games? Is it okay for them to have loot crate systems since that's the only way for developers to really monetize them? Should the ESRB apply a rating to them as well? It's a fascinating conversation, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think, so leave comments. But back to Shadow of... I personally didn't find the loot box system in the game to be all that intrusive, but at the same time, the system doesn't really make the game more fun. You know what's fun? Finding an orc inside of the game, fighting him, making him your bitch, and then adding him to your army. You know what's not fun? Buying an orc through a loot crate system. Yay. I did it. Now, I was able to beat the main story in 30 hours, and I only spent a bit of the in-game currency I earned through playing just to see how it worked. After that, I had no desire to go back. However, there is a metagame after you beat the main story that involves defending the regions you already have, and from what I can understand, it becomes a pretty big grind during this part, and buying these loot boxes can make the grind a little easier. I personally don't find myself in need to rush through this section, and I plan on just jumping in from time to time to run around and fight orcs because it is genuinely fun. You hear that, WB? You're gonna need to make shittier gameplay before I put money into your loot crate system. Ha! Oh shit, I just gave them an idea. For me, there are other games on my radar right now, so I'm happy to move on with 30 hours spent. I paid $60 for this game, I played it for 30 hours, it roughly comes down to $2 per hour of entertainment. Compare that to the price of going to see a movie. Games are still the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to entertainment. And apparently there's a real ending if you go through all the in-game shit, but come on, don't be an idiot. Don't spend extra money to quickly get through the game to see the true ending. Be smart, just watch it on YouTube if you really need to see it. Go to YouTube, search Shadow of War real ending. There it is, I watched it, it sucks. Again, the story does not matter here. The real star of the show is the gameplay. In conclusion, I really enjoyed Shadow of War. However, I do think the loot boxes are a blemish on this game, and they ultimately take away from the experience. What I would have given a solid 8 gets bumped down to a 7 because of its inclusion. It isn't there to make the game more enjoyable. It is there to try to convince you to spend more money. It's like trying to have a good time at a theme park while being followed around by a fucking car salesman. However, if you're a person like me who can tune the car salesman out and only plans to play this casually, then I highly recommend this game. But if you're that type of personality that succumbs easily to the temptation of loot boxes, you may want to avoid this. Shadow of War, with its excellent combat and revolutionary nemesis system, is a good-ass time. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Ooh, time to do my YouTube sign-out bullshit.
Oh, did you enjoy the review? Please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe to Neebs Gaming for more videos. You can play Ark, play GTA, and make it look good. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. Leave a like, leave a comment, like and subscribe. Shadow of War, like and subscribe. You leave a like and subscribe.